a multi-billion-dollar international enterprise that glorifies God while investing in our youth. We'll talk all things Chick-fil-A on this edition of the CHA Connect podcast. Well, I am here with Andrew Armstrong. He is the owner-operator of Chick-fil-A in Chanhassen and one of our corporate partners at Chapel Hill Academy. We have the blessing of working with different businesses that support our school, and Chick-fil-A is one of them. So Andrew, welcome.
Oh, thank you for having me.
It's great to have you. And you've been involved with Chapel Hill a long time, and we're going to get into that today. But let's first get to know you a little bit more. Let's hear a little bit about your family and your background, and how'd you get involved with Chick-fil-A?
Yes, all right. Well, so yeah, Andrew Armstrong. I was born in Minnesota, actually. Moved away when I was little.
Where'd you move to?
Moved to Tennessee. That's where I grew up. So occasionally people will pick up a hint of a Southern accent in me, but I don't say y'all or Coke,
Darn,
you know, for
that's so
everything.
cute.
Yeah,
People
exactly.
say that.
The y'allses. Yeah,
That's
like
okay.
sometimes when I'm around Chick-fil-A people, sometimes it comes out because they're very Southern. A lot
Sure.
of Southern people and connected with the brands
Yep.
and down there in Atlanta. So, um, I had a lot of my siblings that worked at Chick-fil-A as team members, but I did not. So I have 10 brothers and sisters, and 4 out of my 5 younger siblings were all Chick-fil-A team members. So I was familiar with the
Right.
brand back then, like as a child, but
Where do you fall in line with the
I'm
10?
number 6 out of 11.
Okay.
So I am
Right in
I
the
am
middle.
I am the middle, but when you have 11, I think anybody from like 2 to 10 is all in the middle. You know,
Sure.
many of us are middle children.
Yeah.
Um, and then I went off to college. First I thought maybe I was called to ministry, so I went to a seminary college. And then I was actually in college during September 11th.
Okay.
Many of the viewers who are old enough to know, like we all remember where we were when that happened.
Mhm.
I was actually studying abroad in Austria when that happened in my senior year. And then after graduation, I decided to join the Army, feeling that call to serve. Was not called to full-time ministry, but still felt that call to serve. I think that's a thread that is woven throughout every kind of major decision I've made, which also is partly what led me to Chick-fil-A as well, just feeling that call to serve and wanting to give back. So spent 10 years on active duty. That's where I met my wife. We were both actually soldiers together. So we met in Arizona, and we're stationed in California together at the language school.
Oh, wow.
Both of us were Arabic linguists. So that was an
Really? Well,
interesting,
that's so
interesting
interesting.
part of my past that,
know
yeah, not
that.
a lot of people know about. I'm definitely not fluent anymore, but at the time I was the honor graduate of my Arabic language class, and then within a few months of graduation was sent immediately to the Middle East because why teach me
Makes sense.
Arabic if you're not going to put that to good
Sure.
use? So got sent to Iraq and was there for 15 months. Had our first child right before I deployed, actually. And so that was difficult, obviously, like being gone during my child's, you know, first year and a half of development, really. But enjoyed our time in the military. Like we got a lot of satisfaction out of that career in a way, just knowing that we were doing something meaningful. Like I
When
think
you were
that's
when you were
important to me.
stationed over there, what
Yeah.
was your role? What did you actually do? What was your position?
Yeah, yeah. I'll have to see how to describe it in a way that might make sense.
Okay.
But my role, the title was Human Intelligence Collector, which means that I was in charge managed a team of people who was responsible for trying to collect information about the enemy from people who might know that
Wow.
information. So many times we would go out on a convoy, like through a village, and if they had to stop we would stop to talk to people, and there were people who would freely give us information, and we would try to help, you know, to protect them throughout that process. And but yeah, so I was there for 15 months. It was a long time. Put my Arabic skills to good use. I was pretty fluent by the time I was at that time, and that was
Right there.
20 years ago, you know, but so I haven't kept it up or anything, but I was able to, yeah, converse with the locals without an interpreter. And so, yeah, that was a very challenge. I mean, when I signed up, I basically said, I want to do a job that is, for one, like hard to fill and requires more of like an academic rigor type job, you know, because I was already a college graduate and I felt like I didn't want to just I could contribute in a way that could use my skills, better than just being a rifleman, which all of us have to be riflemen. But then I also had those skills of the Arabic language and intelligence reporting and analyzing intelligence to be able to give to the infantry units, like, here's where we think, the bad guys are, and so
It's a really communication-based position,
yeah.
and you transfer that into Chick-fil-A. That's such a relational business model. I see that when I go there, people are so relational. Did that feel like a natural fit for you with working with people and having that relational aspect?
Yeah. I definitely am more of an introvert in terms of
Okay.
I don't have like a natural strength, I don't suppose, with that sort of thing. But I think part of how I've been successful as a Chick-fil-A operator is leaning into my strengths, and as well as surrounding myself with people who are who their strengths are my weaknesses. So certainly a lot of the people that we have in the restaurant, but then even the people that are on my team who really love that continuous people engagement. It really feeds them, and they're really great at it. And so, been able to surround myself with good people, who do that well. One of them is, of course, the Chapel Hill connection, Greg Benedict, who was, I think, director of development here back in
Many
the
years ago.
90s, back in the
Actually,
90s. Yeah.
you mentioned where you were at 9/11.
Yeah.
That was my first week of teaching at Chapel Hill Academy. I was just down the hallway.
Wow.
And he was also on staff here at that
Yeah.
time. And
Yeah.
so the development director, yeah.
Yeah, so he's been with me since I opened Chick-fil-A in Chanhassen. And so I think this partnership just was very natural in the very beginning as the closest school to us, right? Like, we really want to pour into the youth and give them opportunities for development, and of course jobs as well, but just be able to pour into communities of people where we see that we can all be, rowing the boat in the same direction, to steal a Minnesota Gophers, thing there. But we're all just on this journey and trying to do kingdom building, and I think for me, Chick-fil-A is a great opportunity for me to do that. Ministry in the marketplace is kind of what I would call it.
Yeah, we
And
love that. Let's back up a little bit and talk about Chick-fil-A. I can remember as a kid in Florida, that's the first time I'd ever heard of the restaurant Chick-fil-A. It was in the mall in Florida when I was visiting. And I remember it was great. And then I didn't hear about it for many, many years until, I don't know, I was an adult.
yeah.
And so tell us a little bit about the business and when it started and who is at the top, and then how does that work? Because
Yeah.
it's a really cool business model. You were
Yeah.
explaining it earlier.
Yeah, so it's headquartered in Atlanta. That's where we started. The inventor of the chicken sandwich is Truett Cathy, who is the founder of Chick-fil-A. It's hard for us to imagine that now, because like every restaurant you go to, has a chicken sandwich.
Sure.
But back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, that didn't exist. I mean, he created the chicken sandwich.
Interesting.
And then he owned a diner,
Okay.
and in Atlanta, or kind of outside Atlanta, and he would serve factory workers, Delta. There's a big Delta hub there, a Ford plant there, and he started experimenting with chicken scraps that the airlines would discard.
Wow.
And he it took him about 3 or 4 years of experimenting with it and trying different seasonings, different recipe. And then he also had to do it quickly because it was a short order diner and people were used to getting their eggs, their eggs in their toast and bacon. That stuff comes up really quickly. So the people couldn't wait, 10, 15 minutes for their food if they had to get back on the factory line. So invented a pressure cooker that cooked it, quickly and kept that juiciness that we love about it. And I think honestly, in many of his books that I've read, and that was my inspiration for coming to Chick-fil-A, like backing up, like learning about Truett Cathy and his story.
Okay.
I mean, it's really a fascinating story. I have some little short books that I could share with anybody in the Chapel Hill community if they're interested in learning more. But he was a kid who grew up in the Depression and had a kind of a tough time growing up, and started his diner with his brother after World War II. He served in World War II, and then he had to go and he was in business by himself because his brother passed away, and had a lot of challenges, and really is a great testament to when you build your life around biblical principles and you just continue to trust God with your life and your work, that you could see the blessings from it.
Sure.
And so I was just really inspired by his story with Chick-fil-A. But originally he did not want to. No way could he imagine it could become what it has become today. I mean, he owned a small diner in Atlanta and invented a chicken sandwich, and now it's a brand that's multinational. We have stores in, I think, England now. They're opening stores in Singapore, and they're in Canada.
A
So
lot of college campuses.
multinational, yeah, college campuses all over the place. So a multinational brand, over 3,000 locations, and all owned by a local owner operator like myself, and that's a hallmark of the Chick-fil-A brand, that everywhere you go, um, it is owned by a local owner operator who is involved and invested in their own local community, that we get to partner with Chick-fil-A as the national brand to steward that in the way that fits best with our local communities. So
And so every owner operator has a statement of faith that they sign or a testimony.
no, not to that degree. I mean, there's Chick-fil-A, like we're not, yeah, there's no statement of faith, I guess I would just say to that. I mean, Chick-fil-A in their selection process, I'm sure they're obviously looking for people who align on the core
Sure.
values of Chick-fil-A, and us being closed on Sunday, and right there in our corporate purpose, we say the very first line is to glorify God.
Okay.
The whole corporate purpose is glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and have a positive influence on everyone who comes in contact with Chick-fil-A. So, of course, they're looking for character alignment and just people who align with what Chick-fil-A is all about and how we do business. And that's central to why I am a Chick-fil-A operator. But yeah.
Yeah, that's great. One of the standouts with Chick-fil-A is the customer service. And whenever you go to a Chick-fil-A store, it's just incredible to see these young people or adults that are working there just really so kind and so supportive and so cheerful. What does that training process look like? Is it really intense? Is it a long time that you work with people to prepare them to have that kind of disposition when they interface with people that come into the store?
Yeah, I mean, our training process is definitely pretty rigorous, but I think it starts before that,
Yeah.
I would say, for us, and that's in the hiring and selection. So really, most of the people who start with us, especially teenagers, it's just the first job they've ever had. We don't necessarily, you know, filter out people who have had other jobs, but people who have not had one before, we can really teach them the right way of doing things, really like teach them the Chick-fil-A way without having to untrain, maybe bad habits that they would have picked up at a different job. Because, and many of them who have gone on, left Chick-fil-A for whatever reason in their future, who have gone to other jobs, they will frequently, when they come back and work seasonally or whatever, just remark it as how much different it really is. And it's a level of accountability that we hold them to, that is different at a lot of other places. But I think it's really just creating that environment of care where me as the owner operator being involved in the day-to-day of the business, and they see me there every day. They're not just working for a manager that doesn't care about them. They're working for somebody who has invested their whole life into this business and who really cares about it. So really, it's about creating that culture of care where they feel cared for, and then we try to hire people who have that heart of service for other people, and then just kind of can direct them with like how we want them to do it at Chick-fil-A. So it really becomes natural for them. It's not forced. Hopefully, like when you go there and you see it, and the teenager is cleaning up the dining room after a kid spilled their milk or something, and they're not doing it begrudgingly. I mean, they're doing it with joy. They're doing it with a smile and just
That's
with
a great accomplishment.
just with that my pleasure, attitude. It's kind of what we say. It's just having that attitude of service towards other people and wanting to make a positive difference in people's lives just by spreading that care and that joy that they have. So, getting them to do that with us is a privilege, and I love talking to parents of kids who are my employees who work for us, who go home and start saying my pleasure at home, and their parents remark at how much more better behaved they are, coming home
Some
from
life
work.
skills
Yeah,
you're kind of embedding.
Yeah, just being more polite, and just that my pleasure attitude that kind of can spill over into other aspects of their life.
I know you're pretty selective about who you hire. You mentioned you have a process of, screening and interviewing that's really specific and important. What would a portrait of a a quality applicant look like? So you sit down in an interview and here comes this person, and you can probably tell pretty quickly, like, "Ooh, this is me a good
Yeah.
interview."
Yeah.
Like, what are you looking for? What qualities would you say
Yeah.
are those things?
Yeah, especially for like a young person who might be applying.
Yeah.
Every Chick-fil-A has a different, age that they might hire at, but we start people as young as 14. So, for
Eighth
anybody,
graders,
who's,
you
yeah,
get a little job.
that's right. We've had some current Chapel Hill eighth graders who've been employees, and of course many Chapel Hill
Mhm.
alum who've come through. Um, but there's not a whole lot to it.
Mhm.
And I don't think there's a lot that I would say for that people could prepare for.
No.
I think in many ways, um, when by the time they come to us, that preparation has kind of already been done by their home life, their activities and stuff that they're involved in, coaches that they've had,
Mhm.
teachers that they've had, and of course the Chapel Hill environment is a great preparation for them.
Mhm.
And so it's really, I think in an interview, yeah, like by the time I sit down with a young person who's there for a job, you have to kind of like be able to make them feel at ease, because a lot of times just the nerves
Yeah.
will take over, and then you're not seeing them as they truly are because they're just so nervous,
Yeah.
So oftentimes we'll just start having a conversation about something that they're interested in. Just find something that they're interested in to get them to talk,
Yeah.
to kind of just like loosen up, to be able to just have a conversation with
Yeah.
them. And then we really are looking for what we call is like the core four.
Okay.
And we train everybody, we know when they start
Yeah.
on the core four, which is create eye contact, share a smile, and speak with a friendly tone. And the last one I'll get to at the end. But so if they're able to do those things in an interview,
Yeah.
make that eye contact,
Mhm.
share a smile, and speak with a friendly tone, then that they have at least the building blocks of a good Chick-fil-A team member. And then the last one is say my pleasure. We don't expect them to say that necessarily
Sure.
before they're hired, but we certainly train on that. But
Yeah.
in the interview, if they're just so nervous that they're always looking down,
Yeah.
or you get them to talk about something they're excited about and they don't really show any excitement, then it's a bit tough to see them
Yeah.
as a front counter team member who's going to have that welcoming,
Mhm.
warm, caring, kind of atmosphere that they create
Yeah.
around them. So
That's really good information, because I know in today's world, those qualities are becoming more challenging because of the phone use, and the communications have changed a little bit. What are some tips you could give parents to help prepare kids for what may come, and job interviews
yeah,
and things like that?
yeah. I mean, those three things I would say is just,
Eye
yeah,
contact,
yeah, eye
share a
contact, share a
smile,
smile, and or speak with a friendly tone.
speak with a friendly
So
tone. Yeah,
if you're able to do those things,
that's so basic and
yeah,
foundational. That's
exactly.
great.
Just be
Love
device
it.
free. Like I think that's
Yes.
the type of work environment that we
Mhm.
have, and when we don't, it's a rule in our environment that employees are not allowed to have their phones, and that's not the case at many other jobs.
Yeah.
Like I go to places and I see the person behind the front counter sort of
Yeah.
playing on their phone, and
Mhm.
and you walk in and they don't acknowledge that you're
Mhm.
there, and then when they put their phone away, it's like you're inconveniencing them by being a customer at their
Yeah.
establishment, and you just feel like this is not a good environment,
Yeah.
to be in. And so,
We appreciate that as
yeah,
people that go to Chick-fil-A and businesses like this. And one thing I really also love about Chick-fil-A is you invest a lot of time to develop them when they're working for you, and that continues on after they leave Chick-fil-A with a scholarship program. Share a little bit about that.
yeah. I am privileged to partner with Chick-fil-A corporate on this program as a local owner operator, and this year I have 30 of my team members who are getting scholarships. Yeah,
Great.
yeah,
30, okay, so 30 of your employees are getting scholarships this year.
correct. Yeah. So the total is
That's
about
incredible.
$75,000 that is spread out
So
between
incredible.
those team members. So many of them are multi-year recipients.
Yeah.
So about a third to a half of them are current college or current high school seniors. So
Mhm.
they're getting it in their first year going off to college,
Yeah.
which is, of course, that great blessing of just taking some of that ease
Yeah.
off of that burden,
Right.
of college. And then subsequently, if they continue to work for me
Mm-hmm.
through summers or breaks, while they're
Mm-hmm.
at college, then they can continue to be eligible. So
Yeah.
I've had several team members who have gotten it all 4 years of college. And even this year, I have a fifth year recipient who is doing college and nursing, and he's in a longer program. And so he's able to get it a fifth year as well. So,
Oh, great.
yeah.
It
And that,
just really shows the authenticity of Chick-fil-A, that it's not investing just while they're an employee so that you can, have them help you, gain revenue. It's really about the people
yeah.
and investing in them and their lives long term.
Yeah, I mean, and we take that very seriously.
Yeah.
Like I have 6 children myself, and all of my teenage children have worked at my stores, either
Mhm.
at Chanhassen or Eden Prairie, as they're growing up. Currently, I have 2 working there right now. Like I know what it takes for a parent to entrust their, especially young child, to a workplace, and you
Yeah.
want to make sure that that is a place where your son or daughter will feel nurtured and cared for. And so I entrust my own children, to this business, and so I want to make sure that we're stewarding that well. And I think when they start with us even so young, that development really starts from the moment they work with us. And one of the greatest joys that I have in addition to the scholarships is really just seeing them grow.
Mhm.
Like these sometimes when they start with us at 14, 15 years old, and
Mhm.
and then they're 18 going off to college, and we can just sit and kind of joke around about how maybe shy or awkward they might have been when they first got started, but how just they've grown so much in their maturity and confidence,
Yeah.
and it's about giving them real responsibilities, I think, is another thing
Yeah.
that we do differently. I mean, we entrust our high school shift leaders with some real responsibility that they probably wouldn't get at many other workplaces, and it's about establishing that relationship of trust and developing them so that when they're ready for that next step, they're very prepared and they go off to college and
Great.
feel very prepared.
That's great. Wow. Well, your menu has lots of good stuff. I think you're pretty aligned with all of the restaurants. They all have the same menu. Is that correct?
Yes,
But
yeah.
what if there was opportunity for you to put something on there that you could just decide? What item would you pick? If there was one Andrew Armstrong featured item, what would that item
Oh
be
man,
that you don't currently offer?
I don't know. I'm not usually the creative type,
Okay.
but people mix and match a lot of things that are on the menu for sort of like off menu
Okay.
type things that they would get mad at me if I said on air because they might
We don't want to do that.
they make them, but they're maybe a little bit difficult, to make.
Yep.
And if too many customers ask for them, it gets to be difficult. But
Yeah.
as team members, they know some of the tricks. But I mean, I do enjoy lately that Chick-fil-A's been coming out with a lot of really fantastic seasonal
Okay.
items. Like right now, we have
What's your favorite?
I mean, I think my favorite was the honey pepper pimento sandwich that we had.
Okay.
Gosh, I think it was about a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
It's
And
just for a
it's only
limited
on, yeah,
time,
limited time
and then people
offering.
come back bummed out that they can't.
A little bit, yeah. And then they got to wait for the next one, yeah. Like right now we have a jalapeno bacon ranch
Oh, wow.
club sandwich that it has a different bun than the regular sandwich. It has bacon that's seasoned differently, and it has
Mhm.
jalapenos on it instead of
Yeah.
pickles. So there's a lot of different things that Chick-fil-A is doing with their menu that I think
Yeah.
is exciting, and it creates that variety that I
Yeah.
think is a lot of people are looking for. Like I'm good with a spicy deluxe. That's my go-to, just the regular off on the
Yeah.
menu spicy deluxe sandwich. But it's good to change it up because I do eat there probably
Sure.
two to three times a day. So it's nice to have some variety in the
For things.
menu. Yeah.
I can imagine if I was in charge over there, I'd be like, okay, we're gonna have a employee night where everybody's gonna make something really different, and we're gonna have a competition to see who can make the most unique
Yeah.
new thing and have a fun night with that. Would
I
that?
mean, there's legacy within Chick-fil-A of that.
Yeah.
Like the Chick-fil-A sauce was invented by a Chick-fil-A operator.
Oh, really?
So
Okay,
yeah,
that's so
so
famous. That
yeah,
sauce is kind of
yeah.
a staple.
So that was somebody. I don't know. I don't think they discourage it now for us experimenting with menu
Yeah.
items, um, but that was a Chick-fil-A operator who was experimenting with the sauces.
Wow.
So I think it was a mix of kind of a honey mustard, ranch, and barbecue, maybe some
Yeah.
mayonnaise in there as well. And
Okay.
he was playing with it at his own location. and customers loved it. And then it kind of like, I guess word got back, to Chick-fil-A, and of course
It's stuck.
then they got the recipe, and now it's, one of the most popular sauces. You can even buy bottles of
Right.
it
I've seen that.
at retailers and grocery stores,
And I've seen recipes online that are trying to get to that special recipe.
Yeah, the hacks, but yeah, but it's still a favorite, I mean, many people think it sort of comes with it. So sometimes we get, when people don't ask for it, we don't include it because there's other options, and maybe people don't like the sauce. But a lot of times people are like, "You forgot my Chick-fil-A sauce,"
Yeah.
But it's like, well, you didn't tell us, or maybe we didn't ask you properly, which we should. But yeah, it is something that is by request, and you can, up to a certain limit, you can get as many as you want. We don't charge for sauces. That's something that's also
That's really nice.
nice for like in our model. A
Appreciate
lot of
that.
places you go to, you might get nickeled and dimed, for a sauce packet. But if you get a chicken sandwich and want 12 of them, we might say, how about 2 or 3? Would that be good? But
Yeah.
I have friends who stockpile them at home.
Oh, I do. I know people that do that too.
You know somebody in this room, maybe. I know a friend of mine would have have it on his eggs in the morning. He told me he would have his Chick-fil-A sauce with his eggs. So,
Yep. Oh, and I like it with the French fries.
oh, it's
It's the
really good
best.
with the fries.
Yeah. It's making me hungry, so I think it's getting close to lunchtime, so we better end our time. But it's been so great having you.
Yeah,
Thank you
thanks
so
for
much
having
for
me.
stopping by and for all your support that you offer Chapel Hill and the partnership that we have. We love that.
Yes,
Andrew
it's
Armstrong.
definitely my pleasure.
Yes, Chick-fil-A, Chanhassen and Eden Prairie. So grateful for your partnership. Thank you so much.
Yes, my pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Yeah. I'm so grateful to Andrew Armstrong, the local Chick-fil-A owner and operator. It was wonderful to have him at Chapel Hill today to have a conversation and learn more about the business. Our school loves the partnership we have. The fact that we're just a few blocks away, oftentimes our classes maybe wins a prize and they walk down to Chick-fil-A and have lunch. Huge win for them. We love it. And as far as the business goes, it was really fun to hear how they train their young people. And if you have a young person in your life that is looking for their first job, what a great opportunity they could have to check out Chick-fil-A. They have a scholarship program. They have great training that could really build life skills. So again, I encourage you to check out Chick-fil-A. And in the meantime, remember to eat more chicken and like and subscribe to this podcast. That helps us. We want to hear from you as well, so you can leave comments or ask a question. Thanks again for joining us. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time.